All right, so we are in here again, talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and the season finale of that. See if anybody can in here. But all right, so today we're gonna what's up, Human Studios? We're gonna be talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier finale, and I'm not gonna spoil it, even though I can't really spoil the finale of Falcon and Winter Soldier because technically we all kind of know what happens because we read the comics, we've done our little research, so it's kind of impossible to spoil something that we all know is already a thing. But as promised, I told you guys that I would start bringing discussions straight to you guys, so that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna give it a little bit, and then we'll jump right into it, and we can have this conversation. I'm not so much gonna talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier so much as I'm gonna talk about the impact that the episode had. The social justice implications that the episode had. I don't want to spoil it. It's still Sunday. I know some of y'all had work. Some of y'all were watching other things. Demon Slayer came out. Mortal Kombat came out. A lot of things hit this weekend, back to back. So I'm not necessarily expecting everyone to have seen Falcon and Winter Soldier. So I'm not going to spoil it completely. But we all kind of know how it ends. So it's not like I'm giving away a big secret. It wasn't like the WandaVision finale. So yeah. So we'll just give everybody a few minutes. How's everybody doing, by the way? That decided to come through. How's everybody doing? Love Puff, Groove, Love's Time, Who Man. The only thing that was good about Mortal Kombat was the fight scenes. Oh no. You betrayed me. Mortal Kombat was. I have my complaints about Mortal Kombat, but that's gonna have to be another live. I have my complaints, but overall, I still would have gave it. I would give Mortal Kombat. Look, Mortal Kombat was like Kong vs. Godzilla. You knew what you were getting into going in. You knew what it was. You knew what it was gonna be, and that was the only expectation you needed. So I wasn't expecting an Oscar-worthy movie for a video game. Like the best movie to video game adaptation, was probably Rampage. Honestly, was probably Rampage. So outside of like Rampage, I'm not expecting. Like, Tomb Raider was okay, you know what I mean? Like, but best video game to movie adaptation was probably The Rock's Rampage, and Jumanji. Well, Jumanji wasn't a video game, so yeah. Like like I was not expecting Mortal Kombat to be top tier. But to post some Falcon and Winter Soldier art, about to tag me so I can put it on the story. I would love to see some Falcon and Winter Soldier art. Now, is it going to be the busty characters like you usually do, like, or is it going to be like just regular Falcon and Winter Soldier? Because that would be good. And Love Puff, I'm doing good. I'm doing good on this Sunday. I'm getting ready to pack. My house is atrocious. I'm packing right now so that I can move to Atlanta. Or move back to Atlanta. I'm saying move like I ain't from there. But yeah, so alright, so we're just gonna get right into the episode. I'm gonna try and make this as quick as possible, but let's get started. So what's up, everybody? It's your boy Jonathan D'Angelo, aka Johnny D, and you are tuned into another review session. And today, tonight, tomorrow, whenever you listening to this, we are talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier, the finale. Alright? So it's a spoiler-free finale. And by spoiler-free, I'm not going to tell you what happens in the episode. We're just going to talk about Falcon, the Winter Soldier, and the parts of the episode that we already knew were coming. All right? I'm not trying to spoil anything else for you. But that's what we're going to talk about. So everything, I'm not, like I said, I'm not gonna, my bad, I was reading Groove Lovestein. I'm not gonna ruin the episode for you. I'm just going to talk about the parts that we knew were coming. So obviously, as we know, Falcon takes on the mantle of Captain America. This is not new. We've known this since Marvel Comics back in the early 2000s when this happened. So this is not new. We already knew that Sam was going to he was going to go from Falcon to Captain America. Or as I like to sometimes call him, Captain Falcon. If you get the reference, you're cultured. And Bucky was going to stay the Winter Soldier. Obviously, we also knew that from the comics. A lot of people online were very moved and driven by Sam's transformation and his reason for it. He said, there's no reason why I can't fight for this country. We've been fighting for this country since we were brought here. We built this country. So there's no reason why a black man can't be Captain America, despite the social and political ramifications of a black man being Captain America. And I don't disagree. I served in the military. I served this country. And I came home to racism in modern day. So like I get the social and political discrepancies that can come with being a black man and being serving the country that hates you. You know, it's a very interesting paradigm where it's like you want to support the people, but the people don't. You want to support the people and the country, but they don't always support you. And that's a struggle that blacks have had since ever. Since this country was founded, since we were brought over here. We fought in every, matter of fact, fun fact, the best military units in the United States military history have all been black. This is a fact. If you go, you can look it up. I promise you, every top military unit in the United States military history, from the fighter pilots all the way down to the mail clerks, because there was I think they were the 601st. I could be wrong, but the 601st, they were mail clerks, an all female unit of mail clerks that never they were the ones that helped get communication up across, I think it was World War I, World War II. Every unit, the best units in the United States military history have all been black, from the fighter pilots down to the mail clerks. In every war, in every conflict, all black units have always outperformed in the United States military. The United States, the black segregated units in the United States military rival some of the greatest military units in world history. The Buffalo Soldiers, the Tuskegee Airmen, name a war, we was in there. In the best fighter pilots in history were the Tuskegee Airmen. And that's what I'm saying. Sam wanting to fight for the country, absolutely, it makes perfect sense. We've been doing it for hundreds of years. We've been doing it for generations. We've been doing it for every war, every war and conflict that the military has. So I respect Sam's decision for wanting to fight for the country. Of course, he's going to fight for the country. I respect Bucky for knowing his role and his position and supporting Sam and understanding what Sam was going through, and actually listening and paying attention and really taking Sam's plight and Isaiah Bradley's plight into consideration, and having the sympathy to understand that, hey, I might not get it, but I have ears enough to listen. And that was monumental for fiction. That was monumental for fiction. In real life, it shouldn't take all that, but it was monumental for fiction. Bucky going as far as apologizing to Sam about putting the pressures of being Captain America on him, not understanding the racial and political implications of that. And he said, how could I? I'm white. He didn't say he was white, but he said, how could me and Steve know? Because they were white. They wouldn't have known. They didn't know about Isaiah Bradley, or, Steve didn't know about Isaiah Bradley, So, it was a very good coming of, I wouldn't say coming of age, that's a bad term, but it was a very good, coming, a full circle understanding of, the struggles of of black people within American society. The best joke, I think, in the entire show was when Sam was giving a speech to the senators that were involved in displacing refugees. And he was like, the senator was like, you don't understand. And he's like, I'm a black man wearing stars and stripes. And Sam gave this whole 5-minute speech, and Bucky was like, oh, my bad. I was on my phone. The only thing I caught was I'm a black man in stars and stripes. And that, it was funny because, like, jokes like that should be had in real life. And we should be able to crack those jokes and still walk away with the understanding that, hey, we're still in this together. And I love the fact that they were able to, bridge the gap between Isaiah Bradley and Sam. I love that they were to bridge the gap between Sam and Bucky, because Bucky came from a time where segregation was a thing. Bucky didn't eat at the same restaurant as Isaiah Bradley. They didn't even live on the same side of town. You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't allowed. So, for Bucky to go from segregation and segregated units all the way to, being partners with the new Captain America and being okay with that was monumental for fiction. That was monumental for fiction. And I appreciated that. And I know you guys are like, why do you keep saying for fiction? Why do you keep saying for fiction? Because the thing about Marvel and DC and any other comic entity, any other comic universe, right, is that they can fast forward through the process of integration and social acceptance way better than we can. They can fast forward through all of it. It takes nothing for a fictional universe to be able to say, racism, we got bigger problems. But we as people don't have bigger problems than that. And that's why I still say what I say about that's why I still have my stance about a black person being Captain America. I still feel like a black person should not be Captain America. In Marvel, it works because Sam said it during the finale. He's like, he told the senators, you guys have the same power as a mad god. And Thanos was not a god, but he was an alien, but a mad god or a misguided teenager, referring to Thanos and, I can't remember her name, from the Flag Smashers, right? And it's true. But in Marvel, they had literally a superpowered misguided teenager or a alien hell-bent on destroying half the universe. Like, that was their everyday norm. Like, imagine our everyday norm being either alien invasion. What did Sam say? The big three: androids, aliens, or wizards, right? Like, imagine our day-to-day being the big three. Like, imagine walking outside and Spider-Man just swung by. Like, that's their normal. Or, Thor, you see Thor getting his ass beat across town and you're like, oh, we can't go over there to the bodega because, Spider-Man and Thor over there handling business. And I heard that Captain America was down the street fucking some shit up. So we're just going to take the S train over here to the B train. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's their normal. They have bigger problems than racism. And we as real life haven't gotten to that point yet. And so the rules in Marvel don't apply. And that's why, for me, the message fell flat. Because truth be told, what Sam said was very profound. Like, oh, I want to fight for this country and blah, 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 blah. That's cool, Sam. That's applause. That hit home for white people. But that didn't hit home for the rest of us. Because we know that Sam's biggest threat is Galactus. Is Doctor Doom. You know what I mean? Like, the Sinister Six. Like, Sam has so many other fish to fry. His universe has so many other fish to fry. You know what I mean? Like, Magneto could just decide, fuck it, one day. And Sam has to, deal with Magneto, an Omega level mutant, who, Jewish as he might be and has faced discrimination, is also a mutant who has faced discrimination for having powers, not because of his race or his religion or his culture, but because of his powers as well. So, they have bigger fish to fry in the real, in the Marvel universe, or in DC, or in Dark Horse, or in Vertigo, or pick one. In DC Comics, you have, at any given time, Darkseid's gonna invade, Lucifer might decide to change reality. You have God who may or may not decide, fuck it, I'm bored. You have other lesser gods who also might decide the same. They don't have time for racism. So Marvel can literally spend 6 episodes debunking racism in their universe and then ending it and close the book and say, hey, we did it, guys. We have the answer for racism. Everybody should just come together. Of course, because the next threat is going to be like Galactus. Duh. Like, of course you could say that. So I feel like, what's up, nerds and hip hop? I feel like the Falcon and Winter Soldier finale, it fell on deaf black ears. It did. And it's not that it wasn't orchestrated well. I'll give Kevin Feige and his crew their just due. It's not that it wasn't orchestrated well. It's that it's not realistic. And of course, it's a comic book universe. So none of it is realistic. They're going to try and get as close as they can. But this finale, for me, and I'll say this finale wasn't for black people. It wasn't for us. It was for the white people that needed to learn that lesson, but it wasn't for us. I will say this, one of the parts of the end is that Sam got Isaiah Bradley indoctrined into the museum exhibit next to Captain America. And, that was a tear-jerking moment, except that, again, we as black people know that that's not how that would work. Sam would have to get his whole file redacted, declassified, put all Isaiah Bradley's information out in the real world, and then force the American politicians to acknowledge their wrong, the history of America's government's wrongs toward black people, apologize for it, and then put Isaiah Bradley in a museum. So that shit happening in 2 scenes was not realistic at all. I was like, okay, it's great, I fuck with it, but that's not how that's gonna work. So then what do we do? So good question, Who Man. So the problem is, like I said, the problem is it's not realistic, and so I don't think Falcon and Winter Soldier the finale was for black people. It wasn't. Maybe in the movie, because they're under production. Captain America 4 is in production with Sam and Bucky, which we knew, and U.S. Agent is going to be in it, and the Power Broker. Like, we know all this. So all these characters that were in Falcon and Winter Soldier are going to be in the movie. We know that already. That's kind of obvious. But the finale wasn't for us. The movie might be, because it'll have a black lead with a white sidekick. We ain't seen that since like a Wayans Brothers movie. So, that's going to be interesting to see, Black Panther 2 won't be the only black-led superhero movie in Marvel going forward. But I think that there's a lot of other black people I know who feel the same way I do. And I honestly think that, it wasn't the best episode. And it wasn't the best episode, not just because of that, but because of, the episode in general wasn't as amazing as the pre-finale. And the episode fell flat for other reasons as well, but still watch it, obviously. I mean, you came this far, 6 episodes. But it's just, it wasn't a great finale, and the wrap up on racism was the icing on it was like melted icing on an already bad tasting cake. It was like, oh, okay. Like, but again, I just don't think I don't think the finale was for us. I think it was for the white people who needed to, it was Disney's way of explaining why racism is bad. And it's funny because a lot of black people, a lot of us complain that white people understand racism when it comes to, say, the X-Men or the Inhumans, but they don't understand real world racism. And so I feel like Falcon and Winter Soldier was Disney's contribution to the Black Lives Matter without actually being political about it, by putting a story arc in that already pre-existed in order to show white people and the rest of the world that, hey, we're down for the cause, and we can narrate how to be down for the cause low key, subtly enough that people will get it without the outcry. You see what I'm saying? white people knew going in that Sam was going to become Captain America if they read the comics. So it wasn't a surprise that Sam became Captain America. The dialogue that Sam had with various characters throughout the show wasn't going to be a surprise. So it was easier for white people to digest Sam becoming Captain America because they'd already seen it once before. They're just seeing it now in real time. So it was just Disney and Marvel explains how not to be racist. I think that's really what it was. I think Marvel can be used to start the conversation, though. Real world examples work best. I agree. But Marvel was used because now we can tell white people, okay. So if you don't fuck with the fact that, if you don't think that, if you like, you tell white people, now you can tell white people, okay, fine. So we should comply with the police. But how did you feel about Sam becoming Captain America? You got to segue it. You got to okay. So I'm not gonna sway you over with police brutality because it's a case by case basis, because that's what they say, right? Fine. Okay. So how did you feel about Sam becoming Captain America? Well, how do you feel about a black person being Captain America? Why or why not? Why do you feel they should, or why do you feel we shouldn't be able to take up that mantle? See, that's how you really stump them. Because now they got to explain why they hate black people. I fuck with you, Marvel. I see what you did there. But no, but outside of that, even though white people are still crying about the show, they are, even though they knew it was coming. White people knew it was coming and they're still complaining. But again, to reiterate my main idea, to make sure I don't go off track too far, what they did in Falcon and Winter Soldier was cool. It wasn't great. It wasn't genius. It wasn't, it wasn't, something we've never seen before. It was good. It was cool, but it fell on deaf ears for their target audience, simply because you can only fast track through racism and socio-political issues when you have a universe whose biggest problem isn't itself, right? Humanity's biggest problem in this reality is us, ourselves. Until aliens come through and kick the door down and be like, "What's good, nigga? We out here." Like, whoa. Until we get one of those, our biggest problem is going to be ourselves, and that is going to perpetuate all the hatred and stereotypes and discrimination, the laws that fuel it, etc., etc., etc. So in the Marvel universe, where their biggest problem is Thanos, Galactus, Doctor Doom, etc., 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 they can say, you know what? Maybe we can come together as a people, and maybe we can make this work, and maybe we can forego our differences for a greater goal, because they have greater goals. They have bigger enemies. We don't. And even when we do, we're just going to switch our racism toward aliens. It's not going to be fuck black people. It's going to be fuck aliens, like actual aliens, not like immigrants, but like aliens. We're just going to shift our racism. But but we don't have those problems. We don't have their problems. And so we're still going to be struggling. Falcon and Winter Soldier came out in 2021. We will still have problems with the same issues Falcon and Winter Soldier tackled 30 years from now. 30 years from now, we will still have problems. 30 years after Falcon and Winter Soldier came out, we will still have those same problems that the show talked about, because we have nothing else better to worry about or worse to worry about. And that's the issue. IDK, man, that kind of proves these white guys who complain about progressive storytelling points. The aliens are probably watching and hate us. They probably do watch and hate us. Truth be told, I don't mind Marvel. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, I don't know if I'm touching on what you're saying properly, man, but I don't mind Marvel or DC having these conversations and moving past them and, squashing once and for, I don't mind Marvel and DC getting their social and political shit together. I don't mind Marvel touching racism and then working towards squashing it in the background while still fighting, the likes of, these big bads. I don't mind that. I don't mind When they reintroduce the X-Men, I'm all for the X-Men storyline of being discriminated against because of powers and differences and then having to work that out. I'm all for those conversations. It works in their universes because, again, their universes have other things to worry about. I'm okay with that for the progress of story and character development and all that. Of course, you do what you got to do. I'm all for that. But again, the problem is, and this is the thing too, this is the crazy part, right? White people write these stories. White people are writing these stories about progressing past racism and progressing past differences and barriers, right? And then not necessarily the same white people, but white people who write and enjoy these stories about progression are keeping us back at the same time in the real world. It's like, yeah, I hate the way they treat the X-Men. That's so fucked up how they're discriminating against them just because they have superpowers. You know how cool it would be to have superpowers? And then they look at black people and go, I'm going to call the cops because your kid is selling water to try and go to Disneyland. I'm going to call the cops because you're in a spot that I don't think you should be because I'm white and I ain't never seen a black person here, but I own this place. Yeah, but I ain't never seen you, so I'm going to call the cops. But my key is right here. My name is on the door. You know what I mean? Like, these are the same white people. And, like, that's what bothers me. They can root for the X-Men, but can't then say Black Lives Matter. So, because we aren't considered the model minority. No. And that's why after 3 months of, Asian Lives Matter, the government passed laws. And after 500 years of Black Lives Matter, we got street signs. Aliens are higher beings past Earth, and then we some raggedy dumbass people who can't get our shit together. It's facts. That's facts. That's facts. Yeah. And that's the thing, man. And truth be told, I know this is gonna sound, I don't care how it sounds, it's my show. But honestly, I think that more than anybody, Native Americans should first be Captain America. Like, if we're going to transition out of white people being Captain America, I personally feel listen, I understand the struggles of black people because, but I feel like if anybody is going to take the mantle of Captain America, it should definitely be Native Americans. But even on paper, there's so much we'd have to dissect, even on paper, to get that even on the idea board. Like, it's ridiculous. But I'm here for the character development. I'm here for Captain America 4. I'm here for Sam and his character being bigger and better and badder. I'm here for Bucky's growth. Bucky's had tremendous growth since Captain America: The First Avenger. I'm here for all of that. But conversations like that in a fictional world where they can afford to bypass racism, it's always going to fall on deaf ears of black audiences. I remember FTO Nerd Talks was like, bro, are you excited about the new Black Batman? No. I was like, fuck no. And, he was like, why not? And it's because I don't give a fuck about Black Batman. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't give a fuck about recycling white heroes into a black character to pull audiences. It almost, and this is the thing too. Another thing about Falcon and Winter Soldier is it almost feels like pandering. And I know it's not because, they introduced Isaiah Bradley, and of course they pulled the ugliness of the American government and healthcare system into it and talked about the Tuskegee experiment and how they treated black soldiers and how Isaiah Bradley came to be, which led to Steve Rogers being able to even exist and blah, blah, blah. And I get that. And I get that. I get how they came to Sam being black, the black Captain America. I appreciate it. I really do. By pulling the ugliness of the American system and putting it right in your face in a comic book and then a TV show and later a movie. I appreciate that. At the same time, though, we've seen superhero and TV. We've seen superhero outlets and comic outlets try and pull so hard, for us as an audience because they know we'll show, especially after the success of Black Panther. And sometimes it can feel like pandering. Like DC saying, "Oh, we're gonna reboot Superman with Michael B. Jordan." Why? We don't want to see Black Superman. Not after Snyder cut. We don't care about that shit. Oh, we're gonna give you Black Batman on a comic book for a not even an actual future, but an alternate timeline future. I don't give a fuck about that. We're gonna make Wally West black. I don't give a fuck about that. Like, we're gonna make a local, we're gonna make a Black woman Captain America. We'll put her as a local hero in Philadelphia or in Pennsylvania. I don't care about that. It's what's good, Negro Yasha. It just feels like pandering. Yes, there's a Black Batman, a potential future timeline in DC Comics called Future State. It's out right now. One of Lucius Fox's sons becomes Batman, and it's okay. It's nothing exciting. It's okay. There's nothing amazing about it. But sometimes when Marvel or DC does stuff like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it almost feels like pandering. Because we see so often that they want to repurpose our blackness to sell their content. And so it almost doesn't feel genuine, especially when you take something like Falcon and Winter Soldier and say, we're going to dissect racism in 6 episodes or in 6 hours. And you're like, we've been trying to dissect racism for like 600 years. Like, you know what I mean? And y'all can just afford to do it in 6 episodes and walk off. You know what I mean? It almost feels like pandering sometimes. And it's hurtful. The story with that Batman is really interesting. It's cool, but again, I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know that, and this is DC Comics. And I'm not going to get into the implications of DC Comics and Black people and how they do their Black characters. I'm not going to do that. It's too much. But I've done 3 episodes on it already. Y'all can go check that out on YouTube. But it almost feels like Falcon and Winter Soldier, stuff like that almost feels like pandering, especially when it's not done right. Like on the CW, where they try and make every Black character a certain trope. And then that same troped character has to then explain Black people to the white characters who've grown up around Black people their whole life. It was kind of weird that Iris West, who was Black on Flash, had to explain being Black to Barry, who grew up in a Black household. But I digress. Like and I know that it was for the audience, but it just, sometimes it's not always done right. So when you see so much pandering, at the expense of, when you see so much pandering at the expense of our people, something like Falcon and Winter Soldier can almost feel like it's in the same category. And Falcon and Winter Soldier was done right, but the messages are always going to fall on deaf ears because we don't have the luxury of just saying, we got bigger shit to deal with, guys. Because we've tried that. We've tried saying, okay, well, I know there's racism, but can we focus that same energy toward world hunger, world peace, clean energy? No. Better education? No. Less debt? That ain't it either. You know what I mean? Like, we've tried that. We have bigger fish to fry, but all of our fish come from the same pond. Come from the same toxic pond. So it's not going to hit the same for me. It never will. Until I start seeing the change in real life that I see in comic books, I'm not going to care. I'm going to appreciate the effort, but it's the wrong gift. We want more inclusion and representation. I think it's better to have the pandering than to have no Black people included at all. Whoa, hold on. Skirt. Okay, well, damn Dabot, I feel you, but no. And this is why I say no. Because y'all remember Blank Man, Meteor Man, Black Dynamite. Black people have so many characters, so many outlets. Milestone Comics is an entire comic book company that gave you an entire universe full of black characters. Icon, Static, you know what I mean? Like, Milestone is huge, and Milestone went underground. It's not even underground. Milestone went on hiatus because after their head died, their founder and head died, they had to figure out what to do with the estate because they were going back and forth with DC. But Milestone is trying to come back, and you have other black comic book creators now who are trying to create something like Concrete Comics. And I love Concrete Comics and their art and their creativity. Y'all go check them out. Concrete with a K. Concrete Comics. They're amazing. There's a lot of other black comic book creators out there who are trying to push representation. I don't want pandering when I know I can get the real thing from Milestone or Concrete. There's so many creators out here there's so many black creators out here trying to create for us, by us. FUBU. And there's no reason why we should accept pandering, especially when it's on the level of Black Lightning or I think I'm black, but I'm not sure Wally West on the CW. And that's not the actor's fault. That's the writing's fault, or any other, or Ray Fisher's Cyborg from the Whedon Justice League cut. No, I don't want that shit when I know I can have top quality characters like Static, Black Dynamite, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want low budget when I can have top quality. It's not, there's also Sovereign Comics. Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want none. I don't want no parts of that. I'm tired of the pandering and accepting things because we're there, but there's no quality to it. Like, the bar is set so low for black people that just existing in a space is good enough for us. But we're past that point in time. When my great grandma was alive in 1912, 1920, and they were like, oh my God, a black person in a white show. That was cool. We're in 2021. That's 100 years later. Of course there are black people in white spaces. We live next door to these people. So why wouldn't we be there? So at this point, just being there is not good enough because we're quality people and we're a quality culture and we deserve quality no matter who's writing it. Because they don't skim on quality with their shit. Look at Supernatural, Lois and Superman, Legends of Tomorrow. Then look at Black Lightning. Case closed. Representation doesn't mean shit if it's harmful or done poorly. Exactly. You know what I mean? But again, there are people in this community right now grinding out content for you guys. Black Sands Comics, Concrete Comics, Sovereign Comics, Milestone Comics. You know what I mean? Like, there are people really working out here for trying to get you guys' attention, because we want better and they're trying to give us better, and, and that's the thing. So nah, man, I can't take pandering. Fuck all that. That's that bullshit. I can't agree with you on that. But going back to Falcon and Winter Soldier, just finish it. Like, as far as what would I rate the episode? Nah, like a 2. I'm not gonna hold you. It was like a 2. And there was a lot of other reasons why it was a 2. It wasn't just like, it wasn't just the fact that it was a 2 because of the Sam being Captain America. I told you guys this was going to be spoiler free. We were just going to talk about the social implications because that's what Marvel and Disney literally said that the reason for this show was for the transition of Captain America and for the socio-political issues that involved it. They literally said that it was an all-in-one. And the point of the show was those two things. It was the transition and everything that came with it. And that was the point and purpose. So regardless, like, we can't talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier without talking about the socio-political issues that come with it. And I know there are a lot of white content creators who are just doing reviews and skipping the actual point of the show, which is the socio-political issues. And with the blur review, we can't do that. So that's why we bringing it to you. But yeah, just finish the show. It's an episode. So it's okay. There's a lot of other issues I had with it. not just that point. I think that overall it was a great story. If it was a movie, I would have given it about an 8. About a 7. 6 or 7. It was almost an 8, but it just couldn't hold 8. It couldn't hold 8. Like, it was almost 8, but not quite. I think Zemo made it an 8. I think if it was gonna be an 8, it's because it's a 7, or I say 6 because it's 6 on average, but Zemo made it a 7 or an 8, and I really fuck with Zemo, and I need more Zemo. We don't have and I really need more Zemo. Phase 4 is gonna be interesting because Captain America led the Avengers, and so it's gonna come down to Peter Parker, Sam as Captain America, Bucky as the Winter Soldier, Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, Hulk, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, Hawkeye, but maybe not because Hawkeye might be slated to die in his own show. So, we're gonna see a lot of different, all different Avengers. And I'm kind of hyped for that. I'm kind of hyped that they're rebuilding the roster and with different people and different leadership. I will say this though. One thing that pisses me off is that everything in Marvel always happens in New York. And there's like 90 fucking heroes in New York and nobody shows up but the one. Nobody shows up but the one. So Peter Parker didn't notice that the Flag Smashers were trying to blow up a building in New York. He didn't notice. Luke Cage didn't notice. Daredevil, like it was just Sam and Bucky. There was only 2 that knew, even though it made headline news. Fantastic Four, nobody showed up. Nobody. Pepper Potts, like what's up with that? Like I hate that. I hate that the disconnect is all like, oh shit, something's happening in New York and nobody knows except for the one hero that's on the job. Like Doctor Strange sitting in downtown. Where's Doctor Strange in? He's in where is he, Manhattan or some shit? He's just sitting there chilling in a building. He don't notice that a building just blew up, or is that just not his problem? Like I hate that. I really do hate that. Like, it doesn't make no sense that nobody shows up but the one hero every time. We really need to do something about that. But, hey, I appreciate y'all coming through. We're about to I'm going to wrap this up. So, Wind Down Wednesday is getting recorded tonight. It will be premiering on Wednesday. So you guys check that out Wednesday night at 8:30 on YouTube. We are premiering the May episode of Wind Down Wednesday, talking about awkward sexual topics. We're going to get some men and some women. We're going to sit them down and talk about awkward sex topics and how to overcome that awkwardness in order to have that conversation. I don't exactly know what awkward conversations they're going to be talking about, but they're going to definitely be pulling some stuff out their ass, not like literally out their ass, but like, some of the awkward conversations that people have, like hygiene, like why your penis smell funny and why your vagina look like that and what's that? Why is the creamy stuff yellow? I don't know, just different awkward topics and how to tackle them. So you guys stay tuned for that on Wednesday. If you guys haven't checked out the episode with Neko Yasha and Ninja Senpai talking about Fate, the anime series, you guys go check that out. It's up on YouTube and Facebook right now. It's called Fate for Dummies. So if you guys are interested in the Fate anime series, they did a great 60-minute episode on that. Otherwise, it's your boy Jonathan D'Angelo, aka Johnny D. You have tuned into the Blurred View, and I will be back next week with some more bullshit for you. Y'all stay tuned. I'll let y'all. Peace.